Hi, my name is Parker Davis, and today I will be giving a presentation on how to fully disassemble, clean, and reassemble a Game Boy Advance game cartridge. The reason I have made this presentation is because a lot of people are very nervous when attempting to do these sort of repairs. However, this is the most simple possible repair you can do on one of the most simple pieces of hardware. A lot of people get nervous when handling things like motherboards. They think they're going to break something because they think they're very fragile. That's not true. You do have to handle them with respect. However, this is probably the simplest project you could possibly work on, and it will fix a majority of your problems when trying to get your old Game Boy Advance games working again. For this presentation, I will be using Barbie as the Island Princess, one of the best Game Boy Advance games of all time, in order to show how to go through this process. However, this will work with any Game Boy Advance game. You will need a 3.0 tri-wing screwdriver. No other screwdriver will work. Attempting to use a different screwdriver may lead to several issues and potentially will break the screw, which would be very bad. So do not do that. 99% isopropyl alcohol is what is preferred. However, you can use as low as 70%. Do not use 40%. The other percentage that is not isopropyl alcohol can get into small areas on the motherboard and potentially ruin the game entirely. So we want as much isopropyl alcohol in the solution we are using as we can get, and 99% is the best we can do. Q-tips. You will use Q-tips for finer cleaning on the motherboard to get into the maybe harder to reach places, or just the places that have more gunk buildup. You can get a lot more force and be a lot more brutal with it, for lack of a better term. Soft bristle brush will give you a lot more surface area, so more general cleaning. You will need a small bowl to hold the isopropyl alcohol, and as well as disinfecting wipes. Your game should have a tri-wing screw on the back, right at the top. You can tell it's a tri-wing screw by seeing that it has 3 sort of lines making up the screw head. Then once you take off this screw, you will push your game cartridge down on the front to make this gap right here, and then use that back part as a hinge to bring it up and this way. Once you have that done, take out your isopropyl alcohol and pour it into your bowl. Make sure you are putting your bowl and game cartridge, anything that can possibly be touched with isopropyl alcohol, onto a surface that is safe for isopropyl alcohol. While that is not necessary, I highly recommend using a towel or another plastic surface that is made for projects like these. Then you will take your soft bristle brush and you will bring it over to your motherboard. Apply as much as you want. Generally, you should stick to as much as you can. There's no harm in applying this alcohol to the board, especially if you're using 99%, but be sure to get full coverage. You want to use as much as you can in order to clean as much as you can, and especially if it is heavily dirty, you will want to make sure you have application all over this motherboard. Then using your Q-tips, you will dip them in and you will go one by one down the pins of your motherboard with the Q-tip in order to clean the contact area for the game to work. Most often this is the issue. If you see any other parts of your motherboard that are excessively dirty, have just years of, even if it's not dirt, it could just have a film over the surface. The soft bristle brush should do a lot of work, but you will need the Q-tips for the more finer cleaning. Then, using the 99% alcohol, clean the inner housing, not the motherboard, the inner game housing. You do not want to get the alcohol on the outside of the housing, because that is what we will be using the disinfecting wipes for. The reason you do not want to use the alcohol on the outside of the motherboard is so you do not damage the game label. The isopropyl alcohol will actually undo the adhesive that keeps the label on your game, and unless you want to take it off, I would highly recommend not doing that and using disinfecting wipes instead. I prefer Clorox, but Lysol works as well, or other brands of disinfecting wipes. Then you will want to reattach the game. You do have to put it at this angle, the same way you hinged it off of the other half of the housing. You need to reinsert it that same way and go backwards. So you bring it down, and then this gap you will push up in order to close the game housing. And obviously make sure you have put your motherboard back inside your game housing. Otherwise, the game definitely will not work without the game inside of the housing. Then you want to go ahead and reinsert your screw using that same 3.0 tri-wing screwdriver. And your game should be entirely done. You can see it running perfectly on my Game Boy Advance SP. You may still be having issues with your game. This can be due to several different causes. It is possible that you may not have been thorough enough with your cleaning. So if that is the case, I would suggest going back through this guide and making sure you followed every step. And if it is still not working past that point, you may have a problem outside of this area that you need to follow a different guide on. I do hope it is working after you have done a full cleaning, and I hope this video has helped you. Thank you.